You're listening to Mixing Mindsets. I'm Andrew Blank.
And I'm Eric Navrosky, and we hope you find some value out of these conversations about lifestyle, music, and more. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Mixing Mindsets. This is the Dadcast, the first Dadcast.
Yes,
because
the first Dadcast.
Yes, we're back from hiatus because I had a baby. Andrew had a baby like 10 months ago. And our guest, who needs no introduction, his name is Johnny Popko. You probably already know of him. Has two babies. And we're going to be talking about fatherhood today.
I feel like we're all at different walks of life. I mean, obviously, you also fairly recently had a child, roughly around the same time that I did. Yeah. But you also, how old is Lincoln?
Lincol's 5.
Lincoln's 5. So you have years ahead of us in terms of experience here.
Yeah,
so.
I guess you could say that. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Aren't we all?
So you have a 10-month-old at this point?
Correct.
I have a 8-week-old. I'm the newbie in this whole thing, and it's been a journey. It's been a short journey, but a very difficult journey at that.
100%.
Lack of sleep, of course. I mean, Elliot is his name, and honestly, Sarah does most of the work, and it's still hard for me. Right. So I can't imagine, like, Sarah's always feeding him. She's always with him. Like, I'm the one who kind of gets to go and do my job stuff.
Yeah,
and she's taken off.
Yeah.
So
like, I guess the big question I have for everyone as a whole is, I was thinking about this earlier today. Think about your former self prior to children. What changes have been made in terms of like lifestyle?
I don't remember that time.
Oh,
to be honest,
that's fair.
So I have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. So I can't remember that time. I mean, like, thank God for Facebook memories, because that takes me back to the life prior to children. But yeah, I mean,
like, if you had to like pinpoint certain things, if you remember like any semblance of your former self, what has as fatherhood changed for you?
Just the inability to get up and do anything without a plan,
right?
Because like, you can't just go to the movies. You have to find a babysitter or get your parents involved or whatever it might be. And it's just like, you can't just go anymore. Like, my wife and I, we traveled a lot before children, and it was awesome. We would just go 3-day weekends. Yeah, just go. And now it's like, now it's great though, because then we do that stuff with the kids, which is great.
Yeah,
it's different, right? But I mean, you can't just go and
it all has to be planned like well in advance.
Yeah, I mean, you need
that's a huge thing.
Yeah, family is huge. You need that extra help with the family, and in order to do those things, and it's just it's different. But it's
far
awesome.
That's only hit me once,
right?
And I got off of a long work day, and I was starving, and I walked in the house with Sarah, and I was like, "You just want to go to Hops, local restaurant?" And she's like, "Well, we have a baby." I was like,
yeah.
Never mind.
Pack it up.
I was like, I guess I'll eat cereal.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, like, correlating with what you said, Popko, I was thinking about this for myself. And prior to having Isaac, I was already like a disciplined person. Like, I think over COVID, I kind of like, I just did some major life changes. And, I was really like on the ball with certain things. But something about having a child just amplified that tenfold. It's like I had to strategically plan out almost like every single hour of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting, and like, I've just kind of adhered to that lifestyle since. It's just like, I got like, during the morning, this happens, and if it doesn't happen, I'm SOL. We're out. Yeah.
What was your grace period be like into when Isaac was born to when you were able to implement that without any issue?
I would say the first 3 to 4 months were pretty chaotic for me.
I feel that.
I mean, for me and my wife, Gabby, obviously, so we were talking a little bit prior to the start of the show. Gabby had a lot of postpartum issues. We went down a pretty dark tunnel. She's out of it now. Everything's good. And she's now like a huge advocate for it and everything like this. But during like the worst times of that, it was obviously like hour by hour, I don't know what's going to happen. So it was all just kind of being thrown at me and thrown at our whole scenario. And we just kind of played it by ear for a few I'd say solidly like a month of just absolute chaos. But post that, everything like kind of trajected upward. and we were finally like getting a semblance of a schedule back. And that.
Do you feel like there was like a grace period of like X amount of months?
Well, I just think like it's weird in that, you know, I know that you guys are very hands-on, right?
Yes.
And I'm very hands-on myself too. So what you're saying is like, you know, you want to be involved, you want to help, and you don't know how, because like, especially if the woman's breastfeeding and things like that, it's like, you literally can't.
Yeah, 100%. You just kind of, do you need anything?
So,
no.
Yeah, I mean, right. and I joke now, and it's like, you know, every time that my wife woke up to feed Lincoln, I made sure that I woke up too.
Right.
For no other reason than A, I wanted to be supportive, and B, I also didn't want her hanging that over my head for the rest of our lives.
Oh, let me be the first to say that I was not strong on that aspect of things, and that will hang over my head for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life, she will say, you know, you never woke up or whatever it might be. Like, I was the one who was always awake breastfeeding our child.
100%.
And so I was like, you're not getting on me. You're not doing it.
I literally, so right off the bat, I talked about, you know, the 3 months being the grace period, 3 months being rough. Gabby is that step above me, and she looks down on me talking about how like you thought the 3 months were rough for you.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was a grace period. I was saying earlier that, you know, we had Lincoln when it was like end of December. So when my wife was off for 3 months, it was the dead of winter. And I don't think women are educated enough with breastfeeding. Not that they're dumb, like they're not educated. It's just like, it's not talked about. It's not a focus. It's challenging. I mean, it's not challenging for me, obviously, but it's like, you know, seeing them go through it. Like, it's 100%. Obviously, like, you know, and again, like, you want to be
the thought of doing anything with that type of like 2 to 3 hour cycle. Anything at all on a 24-hour clock, impossible. I mean, like,
so. The point is, we love you, women, and we respect you, and you're far stronger than we are. And,
yes.
And at the end of the day, like, whatever we say here is,
we're talking from a place of like inferiority,
and that's what. And I mean, we could go on all day. I mean, there's been stuff that, you know, we've gone through with, you know, losses and things like that. I hate talking about that stuff because like, I'm the man, right? Like,
right, exactly.
Right.
I went through it, but like, it's just different for a woman.
Yes.
Everything's different for a woman in the
you're never going to be able to experience it from that point of view.
No, it's
you have your own perception, and that's kind of the lane you steer.
I think for me, one of the challenging things is, as we mentioned before this started. So I feel as if there's a few aspects of my life. There's obviously me taking care of the baby and helping Sarah.
Right.
And then there's me taking care of like my house and making sure it's not filthy.
Yep.
And then there's me working at the studio.
Yep.
And then there's like other, there's all these like goals and different aspects.
You're still your own individual person.
And I feel like I cannot keep up with like any of them.
Right.
And maybe at this point, he's only 8 weeks old. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. But I feel like, okay, I need to spend more time at the studio and, growing my business because that's what supports my family. So then in turn, I feel like I'm neglecting helping Sarah. I'm not cleaning my house and it's getting a mess. So then I'm like, okay, well, I got to clean my house because it's a mess. And then I'm not helping Sarah and I'm not working at the studio. So then those things are suffering. Yeah. Finding that balance, I have not done.
Right.
I haven't found that
It's kind of like you have to like pick and choose your battles here.
Yeah. Like, I have not found that balance yet. And like with a 5-year-old, you probably found a little more balance than I have.
He's looking at you he's about to tell you it's never going to change.
Well, what you forgot is also being a husband too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, oh yeah,
there's all these things that and it's like before children, like you could focus on work and like be 110% at that.
Yeah.
Now all these different like things you're doing, you the attention is not there, and it sucks, right? Because especially when you're a focused individual, and I guess like you said, you just kind of have to like. Yeah. What's important in the moment? I don't know. It's so hard to really like be a killer at everything that you want to do.
Right.
Yep. And I mean, I think
Gabby and I talk about every conversation we have. We always kind of root the thought process in this conversation is bigger than just you and me. Yeah. And we have to always remember that. That's like we constantly tell each other that when we're talking. It's just like, hey, if we're making a decision, we have to remember that we're making a decision not only as you, the individual, as us as a married couple, and as like the three of us as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every decision, every action that you take should be rooted in this thought of like, hey, there's stuff that goes on when I'm even not there. So I have to think about that in whatever I'm going to choose to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. And I feel like, trying to walk that line of, being a good dad, being a good husband, and being a good worker, and, trying to host a podcast and all those things, it's like everything's definitely suffering. But as long as like my kid's not suffering, my children, like my home life, like that's the, because if that's not good,
that's the foundation.
Work's going to be terrible. The podcast is going to suffer. Like,
nothing else is good.
That's the way you have to.
Like there is family is the core.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as family's satisfied, you could kind of start branching off outside of that. But that core has to remain intact at all times. Otherwise, all attention goes to that core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing that. I mean, you said that, the past 8 weeks has been focused on like making sure like the baby's good and wife's good.
I try to check in with Sarah as much as possible and be like,
yeah,
I know this is really hard right now. But if I walk away and go to the studio to work on something, are you okay?
Right.
Yeah. And then, sometimes it's, I'm exhausted. Things are really hard. And in Sarah's perspective, things are really hard, but I'm okay. You can go to the studio. Yeah. Other times it's like, I need your help right now.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you would like to go work on the studio. You would like to do something, productive in the way of work. But I need your help, and then that you gotta sacrifice that and whatnot. And sometimes I beat myself up because I feel like I didn't get back to the studio. I didn't do anything today. I wasn't productive in my business, and especially
the day like pretty stressed out.
Yeah, especially coming from this is my thing, right?
Yeah.
I've got the studio. This is how I feed my family. This is how I support us, and thinking, well, I didn't get back there and do something means I don't know when my next paycheck is going to come in. Technically, like I work on a client basis. I don't know when something is going to happen. Tomorrow some person can come in and say, hey, I want to do 3 records with you. And okay, great. Then, financially we're doing okay. Or I can not have anybody for a month. So I always try to think, I've got to get back there and I've got to work. If I don't have a client, I've got to do something that is going to eventually get me to having a client, aka like putting out my own music, or just, I work with Andrew a lot on his music, and then, doing a podcast or so on and so forth.
Social media, all that kind of stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
And that to me kind of looms over my head, and probably will for the rest of my life, because that's just the nature of this business.
Right.
And I have to think right now, Sarah needs help.
Yeah.
And even though that is looming and I feel like I've got to get back there and do something, you do have to like kind of look in the moment and say, that's okay.
Right.
Maybe you didn't do it for this couple hours, but you helped your wife survive.
Yeah. Well, like anything, whether it's work or it's communication, right? If you guys are good at communicating, like she can say that she needs help. Yeah. And when she says she's good, you know that she's good, right?
Yeah.
As long as you guys have that open communication, like that's the...
Yeah,
that's number one. That's key.
One.
That's the key for. Yeah. I feel like a healthy relationship, for romantic or platonic.
Right. But then that way it's not over your head though. You know what I'm saying? It's like, granted you're thinking about it, but it's like you're always thinking about it.
Yeah,
that will never end.
You'll never not think about it. Yeah.
But I mean, it does get easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the thick of it right now. With, like the lack of sleep. Like I don't know what I went back into it. Like Lincoln's 5. He was sleeping through the night for I don't know how many years before our daughter was born.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That's sweet living, man. Like, when you get a full night's sleep, because
oh my gosh, 8 hours.
I swear in London, I'm sorry, but I swear I've gained probably 20 pounds since she was born. Now I'm going to put a lot of blame on her just because my sleep has been messed up. But I will also take the blame in that I'm 40 now and I eat like a raccoon.
Hey.
So it's probably more those things than her. But
you're laughing and you seem happy about it. See, I'm like, I was in this weird place of like burnout on top of burnout.
Yeah.
So like during like the thick of it with Isaac being born, I started exercising 3 years ago, and I'm like kind of a psycho when it comes to that, truthfully.
Yeah, I see your stories.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, so I mean, I'd be rocking on 4 hours of sleep and I'd be like, I got to go out and get this 5K in, or I got to go lift. And I mean, it wasn't healthy, like at all. Like I was on very minimal sleep, just overexerting myself to the max.
Yeah,
because like off caffeine now.
Yeah, that's why I'm a caffeine addict now. Truthfully,
is that your second can right now?
At this point, dude, I start my days with like blasting pre-workout stimulants all day, baby.
Oh my gosh! I think I gained 30 pounds, and like, so there was 3 weeks up to Elliot being born that we didn't know what was going to happen. So I stopped taking on clients because he was actually a week past his due date. And every time you hear, oh, any day now, it could be any day now. Well, it wasn't any day. And she had to get induced. And like, so for 3 weeks prior to Elliot being born, I wasn't doing anything. And I was kind of like, when's this going to happen? When's this going to happen? You know, you're stressing yourself out. And then, only in such a short amount of time, like 2 months, essentially, I was like, I gained so much weight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then me and Sarah were like, let's eat healthy. I mean, Sarah, if it wasn't for her, I would be as big as this couch for any viewers, because I hate eating healthy. I hate greens. I hate fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. This is a whole topic for another discussion. I really do. Like, he doesn't eat anything. He generally just hates food.
It's
sad. I love food.
I know it's sad, but like I told Sarah, I was like, I need you to just say, this is what you're eating for dinner, or whatever, Yeah. And so we've kind of been getting down that path of like eating cleaner and eating healthier and eating at more appropriate times. Because man, the first couple days, or weeks, I guess.
Is a big thing, yeah.
I wake up, it's 3 a.m. He's screaming. I change his diaper and I go lay down in the bed and I'm like, I'm starving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you go and eat something, which is obviously terrible for you.
Oh yeah.
It's at 10 o'clock at night. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you have.
Snacks all day.
The amount of times that I've eaten lunch at 2 or 3, just the baby starts screaming. The baby is this. The baby is that. You need to take care of the baby.
Yes.
And I'm just like, well, it's now 3 o'clock. We haven't eaten lunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like your sleep schedule gets screwed up. Your eating habits get screwed up, and then even if you want to eat healthy, a lot of times it's, oh, well, I don't know, just order something, please. Chinese pizza, anything. I don't care.
On the topic of health, you're not there yet because I know your story, but how old's your daughter again? So
9 months.
9 months. You're just a month behind me. In those 9 months, how many times have you been sick? I'm curious.
Not maybe once. I mean, yeah. And I have a kid. Lincoln's in daycare.
Yes.
So Lincoln, in the first year of his life, I feel like he was sick every day.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
But yeah, we haven't been sick. I must have a nice immune system.
So you probably built up that immunity. I have no idea what happened when Isaac was born. My immune system just hit a reset button. He also goes to daycare 2 days a week.
Yeah, that's
enough though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you. So I thought about this today. I was just like, if you count every single time anyone in the house was sick and threw it all together, in 10 months, my house has been sick 27 times.
Jesus.
10 of those are me.
Yeah. Oh, you really did the math on this one before coming in.
And
this is a talking point.
Dude, last week I had the stomach virus for the second time in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I
have had everything respiratory ever.
It's when they go to daycare. That's what does
it. Dude, the daycare is pure evil in that sense.
Well,
it's a breeding ground for illness.
Dude, you walk in, every kid is like sitting there with something in their mouth.
Yeah.
They put it on the ground. The kid next to them picks it up. Oh, I'll eat this too. It's like, no.
Sticking their fingers everywhere that you can imagine.
Definitely the last year of my life takes the cake on any other year that in terms of like the amount of sickness.
Yeah.
I don't, oh, dude, I hate it.
The past 3 years of my life have been the most healthiest for me. Funny enough, including baby.
That's wild.
You know what? I swear it's.
I don't remember what it's like not being sick at this point.
Dad was a doctor before I married Sarah. I lived at home, and I honestly thought that he just brought everything back.
Mm-hmm.
So he would work in the ER and he'd come home and then I would get railed with something horrible. Right. And then I moved out and I stopped getting sick. I was like, this is great.
I got pink eye once. And I remember what happened too. Like I woke up and I changed Lincoln's diaper and I sat in the chair with him and rocked him back to sleep. Yeah. And I don't know, I think I probably just got something on my hand and
you get one for it.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, pink eye.
Ugh.
Yep.
I had that once many years ago, so nothing that was baby related.
I'm definitely going to have it within the next 3 months.
It's just positive attitude.
At this point.
I'm going to get pink eye.
Well, I mean, so Isaac's thing, I don't know if it's just a baby thing or whatnot. Isaac's thing is obviously we're huge on the thumb. We suck the thumb all the time. You know, he drools like. Oh yeah, drools everywhere all the time.
Do you have a thing on him at all times?
24/7. That's 24/7.
If I can recommend anything, just put the bib on. Who cares?
Bib all the time.
I was what if every picture he's got a bib on? I'm like, I don't care.
Exactly.
Like,
Yep. So
just gotta get one that matches.
Are lather than saliva 24/7. And when you hold him, the only thing he wants to do is shove that thumb as far as he can in your nose.
Oh man.
So I'm like, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah.
Jeez. So I think we're hitting this. Me and Sarah are hitting this point where it's getting easier, quote unquote. I'll say that very lightly.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't sleep anymore, but I think our bodies are just kind of acclimating to not sleeping anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
However, I feel like as that starts to wean off and he sleeps. As he starts to sleep more, you're gonna like kind of soak it in.
Yeah.
I feel like eventually you're like, well, wait, I could sleep longer than 3 hours. So your body just like, yeah, man. You take advantage of it.
That's actually the super dangerous part. Again, with going kind of back to what we were saying before with like the business and like working is I technically, if I don't have a client in the studio, don't have to get up and do anything.
Right.
And I mean, there's days where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 11:30. I should get out of bed. And that's, completely unproductive. And then I feel terrible about myself.
Right.
But that's been another struggle. It's like you don't sleep, but you still need to have that responsibility enough to say, all right, I've got to get up. I've got to start working. I've got to start doing something to be productive.
That's just a self-discipline thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bad at that.
Yeah.
That's been honestly, I think one of the hardest parts for me. Yeah, is like keeping myself disciplined. Like I don't know how you do life.
Time management. I think you're good at time management.
So I've grown to be good at time management, but it exclusively becomes like this inner like. So first of all, if I don't, there's this mentality of like if I don't do something, especially with the life that I live now, like if I don't do such and such at 6 a.m., it's not happening.
Right.
And if I don't do that, I'm gonna feel like crap. So there's just kind of this mentality of like, I got to force myself to do this because this is going to lead to this. And that's how I have this hour by hour.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like I build the momentum over the course of the day. And I know it all starts usually with like, as early as I can get it, morning workout. Truthfully. Yeah. I mean, like,
you're psychotic. Although your baby is sleeping through the night now, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I lucked out really hard because the moment Isaac was able to sleep through the night, I forget what month marker that was, but he just did.
That's good.
And we have it.
4?
Probably.
Everyone's been telling me 4.
4.
And
so, I guess that roughly 4 month mark, he was just like, I'm going to sleep through the night and has every night since.
But then every baby's different.
I'm at 9 months, and so I don't want to jinx it, but the last 2 nights she slept basically through the night, and I mean 6, which is great.
Yeah,
because it was like 12:30 and then 3:30 and then it could be 6:30, it could be 7, it could be 5:30 again. It was nuts.
Yep.
But the last 2 nights have been have been great. So I'm hoping we're turning a corner because
so you're at 9 months, she's still not sleeping through the night.
Yeah. It's
God bless you.
Yeah, it's it's weird though because like the second baby, like no one can prepare you for the first one, right? So like what I'm saying, if you choose to have a second one, like I feel like it's easier.
Yeah,
it's easier in that
know what to expect.
You know what to expect. Yeah. Like there was times in the first with Lincoln, like the first 3-4 weeks, I was like, "What have we done?
Yeah.
Like, why did we do this? Like, seriously, Lincoln, I love you, but like."
Can I give it back?
It was just like, I don't know what we've done.
Yeah.
So Gabby will tell this to like the end of all days. But literally, so we're talking about like when Isaac's born. So we're talking because we have the due date and everything like that. She still laughs at the fact that we were having the conversation. I look at her and I'm just like, so when he's born, like the day night of, when do we sleep?
Yeah.
I just asked her because I was curious. I was like, at the hospital, like how does this work? And she looks at me and just goes, never again.
Never.
Oh man, those
I was just naive to it.
We had 3 days in the hospital and it was just awful. Getting home was beautiful, but man, like sleeping on that chair, essentially that pull-out chair, was a mess. And the one night it was
rocking
so
like
funny.
a little bench.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. And the one night they kept him for one more night, and because he failed his hearing test, but he was screaming during it. And the girl's like doing it, and she's like, "Oh, he's fighting me, he's kicking, he's punching, he's screaming, but he failed his hearing test." And they're like, "You need to stay another night." And I was like, "What? How are you gonna test that when he's whatever?" So we stayed another night, and when the night before, the second night, they're like, "Well, if you stay another night, you got the benefit of the nursery. We could take the baby, bring him in when he needs to feed, blah blah blah." And nobody came in that night. Nobody took him, and nobody checked on him. I was just like, I could have been home. This sucks.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that like they don't tell, like, you know, as we were talking about with the breastfeeding thing, that you're not really educated on, you don't really know.
Yeah.
So for us, I was constantly calling my mom and dad, and I was just like, "Hey, is this okay?
Right.
Is that okay?" Nobody told me anything.
You need the reassurance.
You know, and then the first couple nights that we were back home, Sarah, I don't think slept a minute because the whole time she was looking in the bassinet. He would make one little squeak, and she'd be like, "What?
Right?
Is he dead?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Try to go back to bed. He squeaks again. Oh my gosh! You know, and you're like so worried about it, and we're kind of on the back end of that, where like we can tell that he's just squeaking and making a noise, but he's fine.
Right.
Versus, oh my gosh, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought we would like get better with the second one, kind of like, you know, let it go. And the second one, we have an outlet sock that she wears, and it monitors their breathing and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I'm like, I thought we like would get better. She's like, no, we just one.
Anxiety just never goes away.
No,
Get more nervous.
That's the thing, though, man. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm constantly nervous. Like, we were at a birthday party today, and you know, it's exactly like a gymnastics center. They were having a good time, but like, it's like you see them do these things, and it's like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you're gonna fall and break your neck? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh man, it's like it's just constant, like it's constant worry, and maybe it's just me being.
No, I think that's just
dumb, but
an innate thing, like in parenthood.
I was gonna say,
I
think it shows you care about your kids.
Yeah, but I also feel like my parents just kind of like put me down and were like, "Oh, he'll be okay."
Yeah,
and I'm too like, you're gonna get hurt or whatever. It's like I'm like almost like babying him to a degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to do.
No, 100%. I feel like that. I feel like that progression just kind of weans off as, first of all, as you choose to parent, but I feel like it should as your child gets older and certain age markers. Because I like Eric and I would talk about like our upbringing, and I would always like whenever I talk to anyone about my upbringing, I always talk about how I was the third of three. I was the youngest, so like, and my mom just kind of for that reason didn't care as much, but I was able, but I was able to like kind of build my own character because she gave me a lot of freedom because I was the third. So I think about it like how I'm going to parent with that type of mentality. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, eventually you're going to be a teenager and you're going to like rebel, and I shouldn't be overly strict because that would be a thing. And like, I think about this stuff now with a 10-month-old. Yeah, like, what's the next 10 years looking like?
Probably last video. Sorry, YouTube. But
forget it. Yeah, it's never gonna stop.
I want to ask you, a father who has a child that is beyond the age of 1.
Yes.
Any advice for 2 fathers who have children under the age of 1?
Oh, just love them. I mean, just like, you know, my mom was very like vocal and all that kind of stuff, but like my dad was a man of very few words. And not that he wasn't around or present, because he was, but like like even till like the day he passed away, like we weren't like we never talked much, and we never like so like my son will never not know how much I love him. Same with my daughter. Like just like embrace it, just be part of their lives, and I don't have to tell you that, but like, that's just like that's just like the I mean. There's nothing greater than for me than being a dad. Like
top.
And I was always on the fence about kids. I was like, if I have kids, great. If I don't have kids, that's cool too. Like, But then when I had him, and we fought so long for our second, it just like I was like, I wish I had done this earlier. You know, I was 35 when he was born, and I was almost 40 when she came along. So like. I did it later in life for sure, but I wish I had done it earlier, so that way I'm not the grandfather at graduation.
The grandfather dad,
But
that's actually like Sarah's family is a very interesting age gap too, because her parents I think are 48 and 49 and now have 3 grandchildren. I mean, within the matter of like 2 months, because her sister had twins. But it's like they're so young. My parents are 63 or something. So like my sister just had her first baby. Like my parents became grandparents at like 62 years old. You know, and that was actually a big factor of why Sarah and I started now. Because I think there's always the excuse. You can always be like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
Right.
You'll never be ready.
You'll never be ready. And then I thought of my mom and dad, and I thought about my relationship with my grandfather, because my dad, his parents were 40, I think, when or somewhere around there when he when he was born. So my relationship with my grandfather on my dad's side was very minimal. He died when I was 13. My grandmother was basically completely deaf, and I couldn't really talk to her, anyways. So I thought about that, and I was like, man, I want my children to know my parents, and that was like such a big factor in saying, having that conversation with Sarah and being like, let's do this. Let's start this thing.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not ready. I mean, if it wasn't for the wonderful people in my life, my in-laws, my family, my immediate family, my sister, my brother-in-law, my mom and dad, and just everyone who supports us. If it wasn't for them, I probably would drown. And Sarah, I mean, she's the brains behind everything, and I'm just like, you tell me what to do, I got it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I was talking about before we started. I was talking about how Gabby has enough courage for both of us, because she always wants to like watch the progression and kind of move the ball forward with Isaac. And I'm just kind of like, if we get something down right, I just want to stay there forever. Like it's kind of like, I'm comfortable with this. You don't have to move along anymore.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I have, this is the second kid, and we're feeding her Cheerios. I'm like,
right?
Is that okay? She's she has 2 teeth. Like, how is this happening? And I've already gone through it. Like, I should be like okay now. Lincoln did this at this age, and she's like eating all these like whatever we eat. She eats.
Same, but whenever we like cut up any food or anything like that, Gabby's giving them like marble size stuff and stuff like that, and here I am chopping it to like the tiniest thing you could imagine, because I don't want him to choke on. He eats everything fine, but
Thank
God. I am in panic mode 24/7 about food.
Yeah, and again, it goes to what we said earlier about the women in our lives being,
they move the ball forward.
Yeah, literally the rock.
If it wasn't for them, I'd be like, my kid wouldn't eat.
Exactly. Or he'd just eat the same thing.
You're going to drink milk all day, every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do I feel that? I feel that. And honestly, like this, having the baby makes me really respect and reevaluate like single parents.
Dude.
I don't know. I don't know how any of them do it. God bless them. I wish nothing but the best for them. And actually, this was a conversation that Andrew and I had. We were going to put on, or he puts on a benefit show in Nanticoke. And I thought, what more fitting to do a benefit towards potentially like single parents, diaper drives or something that would support them, because I couldn't imagine.
Right.
Okay, even if I had the ability to feed my child and completely take care of him, I don't know how I would be able to do that.
Right.
Like I need Sarah or we would both die.
Right.
So any like single parents, like, oh my gosh, rooting you on, like, utmost respect for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife had insane. A lot of friends who were single parents, and this was before I had children. And having children and looking back, I'm like, I didn't give them enough credit.
Yeah,
like, just
by no means am I making the legitimate comparison. But I don't think I told you this. But Gabby and I work different shifts. Gabby works nights, I work days. And she has her schedule curtailed a certain way that roughly every 2 weeks or so she goes on like a stretch of work days. We're talking 12-hour days. So I kind of get like a little bit of a taste,
glimpse,
over a span of a few days, because she, like, mom goes to work for 12 hours, comes home, sleeps basically, right. Gets up, goes back to work. So I get that little bit of taste of just, it's me and the little guy for a couple days stretch, and I'm just like, how does anyone do anything like this?
And I think too, that's like, the family unit, like it's so important to have both, the mother and father is in, together and part of it, because you see studies and you see just people who don't have a mother or don't have a father, and just like the challenges that are that they go through just because of those reasons. And it's hard, man. People are getting divorced all the time for whatever reason.
Yep.
But it's like you start thinking about kids now. I was just talking the other day about I saw somebody in Turkey Hill, like, and she was just like, I don't know, she was kind of like a slob, and she's like on the phone, and like she's just kind of being rude to the cashier. And I'm like, how did you get to this point?
Exactly.
Like you were once an innocent child, right? Like, like, how was your upbringing? Like,
what progression led you to be the way you are? Yeah.
And I feel bad saying she's a slob. But like, it wasn't meant to be.
No, I get where you're coming from. Like, eventually you kind of have to do like a mental study, and like you're just curious on like how someone can treat someone such a way, knowing that like at one point you were the person completely dependent on everything.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to think about. Like, did you not have parents? Like, did they like it's weird.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
Like, and it's just like, you think about kids and like how, their upbringing is so important. And like, I'm always worried, am I being a good dad? Am I being a good husband? Am I being a good whatever?
Right.
Because I don't want that to ever be them. Like, I want them to know that like they have everything that they need to help them succeed. Like, I'm not going to be in the world because
they're valued.
Yeah.
It just and going back to what we said like before about what would you what advice could I give you? Again, just communication with your children. Just like tell them that you love them, but like talk to them. Like I got like, I didn't get beat as a kid, but like I got spanked.
Right.
It was just, it was just part of like. But I've never hit my son.
Exactly.
And I don't ever plan on it. It's just like, we can talk about, the right from wrong, and like, hey, that like, you don't do this because of this reason. Like,
the show by example,
Yeah.
Like, there's core values within everyone. And I mean, if your core values are kind of, as a person, are in the right place, your child's going to acknowledge that to some extent. And they'll grow up being like, hey, like my dad was a good dude. And like, you kind of just follow suit.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yep. So
you got eyes on you all the time.
Yep.
Literally always. And and obviously no one's perfect, and we do stupid things and make mistakes, and someone's watching you. And someone's looking up to you. And you find that through studies and in history of a lot of times the shortcomings of parents end up being the shortcomings of the child, and that the cycle just keeps going on.
It's a cycle,
to always try to keep yourself in check and thinking like, I need to be a role model.
Yeah.
I need to be the best role model I could possibly be for this, for this child.
And they've got eyes and they've got ears too. Like, dude, like right now, Lincoln, I'll tell you what, man, like you could talk directly to him and be like, what? I could be across the room talking to my wife about something I don't want him hearing about.
Yeah. I heard that.
It's like,
exactly.
What about that?
Eventually it
it's
comes
like,
out.
How did you hear me? How did you and it's just like, right now, you guys, and me included, we have it so easy right now. Honestly, there's no outside influence, right?
Right.
Like, your kids are here in your homes, and like they might have daycare a couple times a week.
Right.
They see other family, but the family pretty much has the same kind of moral values, right?
Exactly. Structures are relatively the same.
Yeah. Yep. But like, Lincoln's going into kindergarten next year or this fall coming up.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, that's when like the outside influences like kind of come into play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's even a kid in his class is one of his good buddies. His parents are going through a bit of a divorce.
Yeah.
And like, it broke my heart. He's like, I don't know what, like, my friend, I won't say the name. Yeah. But, he's living with his mommy and the grandparents. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why can't his mommy and daddy just say sorry,
right,
and make up, right?
Exactly.
I don't know where I was going with that.
I mean, still like,
just the outside influences, like like they get older, they start talking to more friends, and like you can be the best parent you want to be, but they're gonna have to go through their their friends with divorce and like, but even outside that, like just bad kids,
right?
Like just kids who are like just
troubled,
they have bad parents,
right?
Yeah.
And
it truthfully has it. Like I have to believe at my deepest level that it truly is the core values of the person.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like correlating back with that. So, preface here: I am the child of divorce. So my parents were divorced. I was roughly 6, 7. So like I said, raised by my mother, 3 kids. I have. My mom's my hero. Mm-hmm. I always tell everyone this. I have she's top tier, best person ever, and I got my hardworking ethic from her because my mom is just a great person all over. And so like I have to believe that it truly comes down to whatever the family dynamic, whatever the moral values of that person are going to resonate with the child. Mm-hmm. So like in stories like that, my brain immediately goes like the kid that might be foreseeing the divorce from young age eventually is going to grow up and figure out what happened. Mm-hmm. But it's all about what happened during that duration of time. That's going to develop him as a person. Yeah. So yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And the other day he came home and it was talking about Freddy Krueger. Yeah. And he's like, where did you hear about Freddy Krueger from?
You don't need to know about that.
Oh, blah, blah, blah was talking about it. Because he's never seen it in our house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's never even heard the name before. Yeah. But it's so like, that kid's dad was watching it. I'm like, well, it sounds like your kid was also watching it too.
Like, exactly. Yeah.
Because he was talking about how like he had like knives on his fingers and stuff.
Yeah, that's terrifying to think for a 5-year-old
at like 10, and I was
but like you can, and that was my biggest fear about being a parent in general. I'm like, you could be the best parent. I mean, how often do you see kids that get hooked on drugs and like
like poor influences outside of the house?
Right, they had great parents. Like you see every what's that show called? I forget what it's called, but just
Scared Straight.
No, it wasn't that. It was shoot, I forget. But like again, it's just
there's a lot. Gabby and I were on a walk with Isaac the other probably a week or 2 ago, and we were talking about this. Like the appropriate age to expose your child to something before someone else does.
Right.
Yeah. Because especially in like today's world where everything's so easily accessible. Yeah. They're going to find it very fast.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Sarah and I have been thinking about, and that's been terrifying. I mean, there's not a time. So I have a TikTok for the sake of the studio, and I never go on it. Like, I'm not a big fan of the app, but if I say, okay, you know what, I need to go on it, I need to post something for the studio, almost the first video that comes up is usually pretty sexually explicit. And I'm like, what is this?
Well, I was like, algorithms telling you.
I honestly
steer you a certain way.
I don't use it. I don't like anything. I don't comment on anything. I literally just have it. So I get on, I post the thing on the studio page, and then I shut it down. But honestly, it's like all the time. There's like something inappropriate where I'm like, I would not want my child to see this.
Right.
I'm like, what kind of role model, examples are you setting for children? And like Sarah's sister's 8, and she's, in that era of, she's got the phone. She knows how to use a phone. Yeah. Who knows what you can find? You can find some crazy stuff on the internet.
Whatever you want.
Literally whatever you want. You're going to find it.
So, I mean, I remember stupid stuff like that when I was young where I remember when Facebook didn't get it quite right, and there was like those horrible violent videos that were on there from like third world countries. And I saw that as a, I don't know, Facebook came out when I was like, what,
I'm
like
still
13,
traumatized
14?
by that.
Yeah, 13, 14. I still got those images burned into my skull.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen some pretty disturbing stuff on unhinged Facebook.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. When
I was on Instagram and I started getting these pages of basically half naked girls.
Right.
Like,
yep.
Oh, yeah.
they follow you.
So what happened was like I'm like, God forbid if my wife is ever over my shoulder for whatever reason and sees me on Instagram and says, I'm like, just so you know, like I don't know what's going on, but like this pops up. Perfect example.
Yep.
I don't follow her. She doesn't follow me. Like,
yeah.
I just want you to know.
But for some reason. Yeah,
it's just everywhere.
And it's like, scary. Like
it's oversaturation of the wrong thing for your children. Yeah,
and who knows what we're gonna have to deal with in the next 10 years, or
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, internet. I was 16-ish when AOL came out. Like all that kind of like
right.
So I had like half my life with it and half my life without it.
Yeah,
but
we were like the rise of the internet. I remember. The earlier, I want to say like 7, 8 for me when I was like finally like not so much surfing the web, but had the capabilities of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of responsibility as parents. A ton of responsibility, and
gonna get harder.
Yeah. I
with
wish
advancements in like technology, dude. Like I don't know what's next, and like I don't know. I doubt like the creators of whatever is going to be next are going to know like the ramifications of what it's capable of doing.
No, they're not. It's crazy.
Like we talked about before, with the upbringing of the internet. In our case, it was like unhinged. We had to figure it all out as we went along.
Like, that didn't work.
Yeah,
but anyways, we're at 46 minutes, which is pretty awesome, and our longest podcast to date. So we definitely lost video. Sorry, guys. But we'll probably wrap it up there. Johnny, thank you so much for being here. This was a wonderful conversation. We could probably talk all day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we could. I mean, honestly, one question I have for you guys.
Please. Yeah, lay it on us.
8 weeks in.
Yes.
Favorite thing so far?
Oh, my gosh. So we're right at that stage of where he actually will lock eyes with you and then like kind of coo and laugh and giggle. Yeah. That's been awesome. And I love like, I call him my squish all the time, my little scrunchy squish. And he'll, you put him like on your chest and he just kind of snuggles up to you.
Yeah.
That's the little scrunchy squish snuggles. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, you 10 months in, huh?
10 months in. So currently we don't have the recollection that I am dada. So, but we're blatantly. That's the only thing we say right now. We crawl around going da 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 da, and like all the time. I'm like, I love that. Thank you.
That's good.
5 years.
5 years and 9 months in.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's so much. I mean, I was outside with Lincoln today. We're playing tag. I mean, he wants to be outside all the time, which is great, right?
Mm-hmm. But
yeah, he wants me to push him on the swing. He wants to play tag, and he's a little human. And I was outside working on the pool this morning, and like he's out there with me hanging out. He's like my little buddy,
Yeah.
So it just like it's cool having him as like just like this little person that I can communicate with and have conversations with, and
I'm so ready for outside.
It's just
like playing. I'm so ready for that.
Definitely not trying to wish away time, but I am looking forward to communication and like actually understanding who this person is. Because right now he doesn't really have much of a personality, but yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then London, I mean, she's just, she smiles. All you have to do is smile at her; she'll smile back at you, and like
that's awesome.
That's just so cool to see. Like, she's just a happy baby, and her first word was "dada," which is.
I got it.
Sorry, Mom. But it's just like it's very, very rewarding, and it just I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to push. People to have children. If you don't want them, that's fine too. But like, they will bring you a joy that you never knew that you could ever experience.
That you could really only achieve by having them. So
for sure. Okay. We're gonna wrap this up. I want to give you an opportunity to plug the things you want to plug.
I was just about to say.
I was gonna say, for those who don't know, Popko's got his own podcast, Popko Podcast, And then he also has Popko Picks on Spotify, which you can listen to his favorite music, which might feature some of our stuff.
It does.
It does.
There we go.
I know that's a shameless plug.
It's the Popko Project podcast.
Oh my gosh, I'm done.
You know what though? Everyone keeps calling it that. I'm like, did I f this up? Did I like? Everyone calls it Popko Podcast. I'm like, should I have mentioned that? Is that what I should have called it? And if I just curse, I apologize. If
that's all right, I'll leave it out.
Bleep that out. Yeah, but
They're abbreviating it as the PP.
Stop it.
And I thought about that too. Yeah. But yeah, that's on Spotify and all the streaming services. I've had these guys on as guests before, which is a lot of fun. But it just features a lot of local musicians and creators and some national artists as well. So check that out.
Yes, the Popko Project. Check it out everywhere that you stream podcasts.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe
like
everywhere.
Subscribe.
Yeah, you would find him on Instagram, Instagram. Facebook, anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere. And
you literally just find this guy in a lot of places in general. So just be on the lookout.
Good guy to know.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace.
Later.